Viewers are very concerned, watch this program, very concerned about what, if anything, happened on the Appleton prison discussion. Was there any legislation that passed on that issue?
It did not. The closest we got, actually, Representative Carlson probably remarked about this, but there was a provision in the bonding bill for the road, or one of the roads in Appleton, and there was some angst about whether or not that was conditional on the Appleton prison itself, but no movement on that in our chamber.
Yeah, that's correct. I think there's a lot of opposition, if you will, in certain quarters about a privately operated prison. And you hear a lot of comments about the corporation that operates these prisons around the country. I don't know how accurate it is, but there has been a lot of concern raised about what has happened in other parts of the country with that particular company. That raises a lot of concern about it being a privately operated prison as opposed to our other prisons, which are owned and operated by the public.
There was an idea floated early in this program about the possibility of buying the prison from CCA, who I think is the owner, Corrections Corporation of America.
And I believe that there was a provision in the bill that authorized negotiation for purchase of kind of a lease to own within the bill that would have
and this is the House bill?
Yes.
And that bill passed, but there was no companion bill passed in the Senate?
I don't believe that it passed the House.
Didn't pass the House, okay.
The other issue that's related is there are a lot of people that are in prison now for minor drug offenses, and then the question comes up as to how many beds you really need, at least short term, if you release some of those folks that were tried and convicted for minor offenses. So the legislation that was before the House actually increased the length of the sentence for some drug offenders, especially if they were dealing and did it while they were armed, had a gun. And if you were a minor offender, you would be released. And I think they were projecting that might save about 500 to 600 beds. So once that issue is resolved and you see really what the outcomes will be, it also plays into the Appleton thing in terms of how many beds we would ultimately need, and if we need more, when we might need them.
We had a discussion about this last week. This wasn't legislation that passed. Representative Hillstrom kind of walked the panel and the viewers through some of the changes that came about as a result of the sentencing guidelines proposal, which then prompted discussions with county attorneys and public defenders, and that resulted in the bill that I think you're referencing, which did pass both the House and Senate. It's gone to the governor, and I don't believe he signed it, but I think he has said he will sign it. Have I accurately stated that as best anybody recalls?
Yeah,
I think that accurately describes it, and the point I was trying to make, though, until it's actually implemented and we actually see how many beds that ultimately frees up, will ultimately determine whether we need additional prison capacity or not, or when we may need it.